Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 218 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxon, your host here, along with my brother Aaron.
Hello.
And Mr. Mark Brew.
Yo, Papa 40 and check your oil. Oh, wait, this ain't prime time.
And Archie, no Archie Mitchell. Archie had to work tonight, so he is not with us, but we are continuing our journey to the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500 from 1994. Last week's episode was a whole lot of fun. This week should be too. And we're going to start off this week at 329. And that usually, as you get into the 300s and the 200s, we're going to start probably recognizing more names. You know, there won't be as many ridiculous indie names. But
that middle crew, that little middle crew, there's a little middle crew that we had last week. Those are notable names, not like good notable names, but we knew them.
Yeah,
Bastion Booger and Damian Demento, and yeah,
Giant Gonzalez.
All right, so number 329, because we left off last week, we did 330, and that was Metal Maniac. So we had a lot of fun at his expense at the end of last week's episode. Number 329, a guy I don't know, Johnny Canuck, 6'2", 356. Must be a rookie because he has no years pro. The Lumberjack is a former WCCW tag champion with Michelle Starr, now violently feuding with Starr after losing those belts, engaging in hair versus hair and steel cage matches. Johnny Canuck.
Johnny Canuck.
What the Canuck?
Canuck is a Canadian. So I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say his gimmick name. He's either a Canadian or he's impersonating one.
Yeah, I assume Canadian because of the whole lumberjack gimmick. That would be my assumption.
Yeah, stupid name.
328. Last week we had the Metal Maniac. This is the Masked Maniac. 6'3", 300 pounds, 1 year pro Wrestling Federation's master of the bear hug, has traveled the globe, gaining experience during his rookie year, making progress. Tights resemble those worn by Giant Gonzalez in the WWF. I don't know who Masked Maniac is.
So he's a masked furry?
Yeah.
How tall is he?
He is 6'3", 6'3".
So he's Tiny Gonzalez.
Tiny Gonzalez.
Damn, if that's the case, then I'm tiny too. No stroke to that ego.
Number 327 sounds like the name that you would hear like when they have like a wrestler in a movie or a cartoon or something. His name is the Iranian Butcher. 6'2", 220, 16 years pro. This veteran of the independent circuit is the reigning ICW champion, defeated Mark Ash to claim that title. His father actually was an Iranian butcher. Okay. Doesn't that just sound like, you know, like on a movie or something where they'd be like, we're going to go to wrestling tonight. See the Iranian Butcher.
Iranian Butcher versus Max the Mauler.
Yeah.
Or Randy the Ram.
Yeah, Randy the Ram. Yeah.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, it was.
Number 326, we could go through this guy pretty quick because we actually talked about him last week when we talked about his tag partner. It's Keith Cole, 6'2", 235, 2 years pro, 187. He and twin brother Kent wrestled in WCW with relatively little impact. Now in independence, including the NWA, native of Huntington Beach, California. Good armbar. But yeah, we kind of beat up the Cole twins last week. So
a good armbar.
Good arm.
I'm not even a fucking wrestler, and I can give somebody a good arm bar. Fuck.
But you said impact, and I'm like, who the fuck gets over there?
Number 325 is actually a guy that I really enjoyed watching back in the day. Billy Travis, 5'10", 218, 14 years pro, has returned to the USWA after a WWA stint. Likeable fan favorite who briefly became a guitar-swinging rule breaker, has also appeared in WWC. Talented native of Houston. And in USWA and global, they called him Billy Joe Travis. I liked Billy Travis.
and is a wrestler that legitimately got arrested on television.
Yeah.
Aaron knew that tidbit right offhand.
Yeah, you don't know that, Mark?
No, I didn't know that. But
Yeah,
I was
he was in the USWA, and they showed up to arrest him for I think back child support or something. And Lawler talked the cops into being like, "Hey, let him have his match, and just arrest him after that." And they fucking put it on TV and worked it into an angle.
I was gonna ask if he was like Cletus T, no relation to Randy Travis.
Digging out bones.
I think Billy Joel's dead now. I think he passed away.
Billy
But no,
Travis. Yeah.
Billy Travis was a good, I'd put him in the I don't think he was as good as these guys, but I'd put him in the same category as Tony Anthony and Tracy Smothers and guys like that. Just good, solid hands that stayed in their territory,
Mm-hmm. Who else was I thinking of when I thought of him? John Tatum, kind of in that vein.
Yeah, and he worked WWF pre-expansion as a jobber. He was a good talent. He's a good talent.
Number 324, Scotty Summers, 6'1", 250, 7 years pro, hot body, has been in ECW and Motor City Wrestling, where he's teamed with Johnny Paradise. Cleveland native, won the Ohio title in 1991. Former tag teammate of Ron Cumberledge. Scott Summers.
So you said that's Johnny Hotbody?
Well, they have it now. I don't think it is. It's not Johnny Hot. I don't believe so. But I think when they say has been in ECW, they mean like ECW even before Eddie Gilbert, even before like TV.
Yeah, he sucked. I shouldn't say he sucked because I don't know him, but he worked in that. If it's ECW, it was like when they were doing that little bar. So Hawk almost hit his head through the fucking ceiling and all that shit. That's probably what he was doing.
So I wonder if he's got like a cousin named Willie Winters or something, since he's Scotty Summers.
Yeah, Scott Summers and Willie Winters will make you take the fall this summer.
Watch them spring into action.
I missed a season. God damn it.
I got you.
Number 323, 30 years later, this guy's in the news right now. Scott D'Amore, 6'2", 232, 2 years pro, just out of his teens. Talented Bluto has already appeared in the WWF and WCW cards. Trained by Irish Mickey Doyle, competes in Motor City Wrestling, has beaten Al Snow. And 30 years later, he's still, still in the news.
It's funny that his write-up was noteworthy for beating Al Snow.
Has beaten Al Snow.
It's like, who hasn't?
I don't think I've seen Scott D'Amore matches or whatever. And I don't think he was anything to write home about. But as a personality, I think he's entertaining. And I mean, he made that company somewhat significant again.
Well, I was going to say he's also
stupid. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say he's also he is pretty much from the perspective of length of time with the company and what he does for the company behind the scenes and everything and all that. He's pretty much impacts Pat Patterson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a shitty reason to let the guy go.
Yeah. And he was so popular with the people that the talent actually threatening to leave. They wrote a letter to the the corporation asking for him to come back. So he obviously
the reason
did
the
something
reason
right.
the reason they got rid of him was because he asked them to invest more money in the company, and they were like, "No, we're not going to do that." Really? You want this fucking thing to be successful, and you don't want to put fucking money into it?
Right.
Yeah, they said that he was lobbying to bring Braun Strowman over and shit, and fucking they didn't want to pay up.
I don't know. I when I saw that he was released, I thought I also was like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, the guy seems like he's kind of essentially the lifeblood of the company.
Right.
I don't know. It just, yeah. But back here in 1994, he's just starting out in the business, and like I said, he goes on to pretty much make himself a pretty long career with TNA. He kind of homesteaded there, and
He hustled.
and
He's a
yeah,
hustler.
and he's been the constant in that company really for its
So
entire existence.
when I say hustler, I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, he hustled.
Not like he's selling rocks on the block with a knot in his sock. No, he got out there and busted his ass.
Yeah. 322, Danny Britz, 6 foot 235, 11 years pro, veteran amateur champion in South Africa, getting more opportunity to face top flight opposition with the end of apartheid. Feuded with Tiger Jeet Singh, has competed in WWC. Since the South African wrestling scene is probably the one I know the least about in my life, I have no idea who this guy is.
Watch, we're gonna make that a thing. We're gonna have to watch some South African wrestling.
Yeah. Watch the Pink Panther in the main event.
Well, God bless him that he got through some matches with Tiger Jeet Singh.
321.
Tiger Jeet Singh was a fucking joke. But just saying.
321. Muhammad the Butcher. 6'2", 290, 7 years pro. Maims and tortures like Abdullah, but this lookalike does his butchery in Florida Independence. Not very adept technical wrestler at all. Not even by Abdullah's standards.
I was just gonna say how many fucking Middle Eastern butchers are going to be on this list,
right?
So it's like a little
CeeLo.
It's like a little CeeLo Green guy running out there.
You know who actually was, as far as the imitation guys back in the day, you know who was actually pretty fucking good? Like the clone gimmick, you know what I'm saying? Like this guy, Muhammad the Butcher, or, a Sheik that isn't the Iron Sheik or whatever. Kamala 2, the Botswana Beast, he actually wasn't too bad for his role. Whenever he would be in Japan or in a territory or something, he wasn't too bad. I mean, it was silly that he was Kamala 2, but
I liked when they had the little fucking midget with them.
Yeah.
That was fun shit.
320, Glenn Osborne, 6'2", 265, 5 years pro, former ECW competitor, is now contending for T. Ranchula's ACW championship. Nearly defeated Ranchula in a thrilling best of 3 falls contest. Excellent technical wrestler.
That's his last name.
Yeah, that's what popped me. Ranchula. Almost beat Ranchula.
Yeah.
Trevor Ranchula.
Trevor Ranchula.
Glenn Osborne looked like a big midget. I've said that on our
big midget
RTE podcast. Like, he just had like his head looked bigger than what his body should have held, and I don't know. And he screamed his promos. The guy sucked.
Yeah. I can't come to Glenn Osborne's defense, really.
He's a giant midget.
Your luck, pal.
He's a giant midget with fucking Dog the Bounty Hunter hair.
Well, and then the other thing about him was he had one of those silly things, like I never understand a guy who just uses his real name, but then like wears face paint or something. Like, wouldn't you if you're gonna have face paint? Why wouldn't you like give yourself? You know, does what I'm saying make sense?
Yeah, like
It'd
why
be like
wouldn't you have an alter ego?
it'd be like me. It'd be like me putting on a mask and being like, "I'm Aaron."
Nobody knows what Aaron looks like because he wears the mask.
Number 319 is Horace Boulder, 6'2", 244 years pro, Hulk Hogan's nephew. Nowhere as successful, but does well in Florida independence. Has competed in Japan and was Sabu's partner when they won the FMW Tag Team title.
I'm just gonna
Marginal
go out
talent.
on I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that I doubt he was very nimble in the ring with a name like Boulder.
And of course, he
I
winds
mean,
up in WCW as Horace Hogan, and in the
he was a
NWO.
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say he's in the whole NWO black and white deal and all that stuff because of his uncle. He
He was a marginal talent, and when he was like part of the flock, it was just because he was in the flock too.
mm-hmm.
In that aspect of it, he was like a good heater or whatever for Raven because like he was a hardcore guy or whatever. But when you get him out of that realm of it, he's nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, it
Doesn't make sense.
doesn't always run in the family. You know what I mean? Like it gave it a shot. Hogan definitely gave him a shot. I mean, he got him in the second biggest wrestling company in the world at one point, the biggest wrestling company in the world at the time that he came in. And like you said, I mean, there were what, probably 20% of the wrestlers in the world were worse. I mean, he wasn't awful. He just wasn't anything special.
He was a bit player and like he looked like a wrestler. You know what I mean? Like he didn't look bad, and I'd put him in like the same aspect of like not to knock him because he just died or whatever, but like a Virgil or something like that. It's like this guy just he's fodder for whatever. You know what I mean? Like if this
Well,
guy if this guy goes against Goldberg, it's not going to look like a complete joke.
Right.
well, when I say this, I don't mean how they would take it in Alabama, but he was probably like, "Yo, let me get the rub."
And Unc was like, "No rub, brother, but you can be here."
You just
Because
stand back.
they even tried to do that shit with him. Well, Russo did with that New Blood stuff because they had Horace like with Kidman when Kidman was feuding with Hogan, and they had Horace turn on Hulk Hogan. Anyway, whatever. I don't even know why that core memory's still there. I don't know why I remember any of that, but Mark, any other thoughts on Horace Hogan?
No.
All right.
I mean, unless
I'm
we're having
sorry. I'm sorry for the intents of this project. He's Horace Boulder still, which also makes sense because one of Hulk's names was Hulk Boulder at one point. But anyway, 318 Barry Horowitz, 5'10", 227, 15 years pro. The winner. He's evidently never heard of truth in advertising. Veteran competitor, twice held the global light heavyweight title. Did little in WCW, less in the WWF, also in the independents.
He said less in the WWF.
Yeah,
he did a lot in the WWF.
I was about to say.
I'm just gonna say it. There's a lot of guys that owe their success to Barry Horowitz, and I don't remember the exact quote that he said, so I'm not gonna like try to quote it. But like Bret Hart talked about how guys like he mentioned Barry Horowitz. He's like those guys should be respected and mentioned and talked about more than they are.
Mhm. Yeah, well, and and that's the thing from a wrestler's perspective. The enhance, especially back then. I mean, it's not really a thing now, but before the Attitude Era, when every match was a name guy versus a name guy, and it's been like that ever since. The enhancement talent was super, like Aaron was alluding to, was so super important. You had to look good losing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Barry did that well. So did Dwayne Gill.
George South,
The Mulkeys.
Dusty Wolf, the Mulkeys in the NWA. Yeah, it's like I think guys like that are like unsung heroes, and I'm somewhat hoping that with guys like Rock and Hunter being in charge now, that some of these guys are gonna get their accolades that they deserve. You know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I just read. You can totally tell. I don't want to get away from what we're doing here, but you can totally tell already the different approach to the program at this point. Because I haven't watched Raw, obviously, but I just read before we went on the air here that they actually mentioned Sting's retirement on Monday Night Raw. So it's definitely not. It's not Vinny's WWF anymore.
Well, did you watch SmackDown from
Yes.
Friday?
Yes.
Rock said pro wrestling 3 times in a row and mentioned the word and said crackhead. Like that's fucking wrestling. That's fucking
Yeah.
uber
Oh,
heat.
they definitely they most definitely say the word wrestler and wrestling much more than they would have a year ago.
Yeah. But
Instead
like
of
you
saying
said, not what
superstar all the time and shit. Yeah.
yeah, but not one to like get away more from this. Going back to Barry, I think Barry Horowitz in my childhood, I saw that guy on TV more than I saw Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he got in the ring and made guys like Brett and Kerry Von Erich and just whoever he was in the ring with for 4 minutes. I'm gonna make you look like a fucking star.
Yeah.
And that's
And there's a funny I don't know why. I don't know why it always sticks out to me, but there's this funny. I can't even remember who he does the job to, but it's an episode of Superstars, and it's when Vince is still commentating on Superstars with Ventura, and Barry is doing the job, and they, Barry Horowitz, and he does a little pat himself on the back thing. And I don't know why it always made me laugh, but Vince with such disgust goes, I don't know why this guy's always patting himself on the back. Like he says it in this low, like with this, and I know he's putting him over. He's putting him over, but by doing that, but it's just funny because he's like, but it's just he's like, I don't know why this guy's always patting himself on the back.
because that was non-crazy Vince.
Yeah. Mark, any thoughts on Barry Horowitz?
I mean, for lack of better words, he's my favorite Jew wrestler.
Take that, Goldberg.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of great enhancement talents that made people look good in the ring, number 317 is another one. Steve Lombardi, 6 foot, 233, 9 years pro, WWF veteran, also appears on the independent cards. Brooklyn Brawler works hard and is popular with fans, but can't escape lower card status. Once managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan.
I always liked the look minus the fucking torn up shirt. That part of it I did not understand.
Yeah, well, that was the over the top gimmickry, but you're right. If he would have just had the jeans and that hat and the cigar,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Steve Lombardi's a fucking great talent.
Yeah.
And he's a guy too, kind of in the heart of what I was saying about Barry Horowitz. It's a guy that should be honored because, I mean, How long was he there? How many fucking wrestlers did he go in the ring with and teach?
Mhm.
The fucking Rock is the biggest, one of the biggest movie stars in the world, and is a top talent wrestler. And when he first got there, guess who they put him with? Fucking Steve Lambardi. You know what I mean? It's like that's the guy, in my opinion.
He he worked there for, I'm pretty sure he worked there over 30 years. And like you
Yeah,
said, I mean, he was
he knows where the bodies are buried.
absolutely. They might call him to testify here in a couple of months. But yeah, I mean, and one of the great moments in primetime wrestling, the whole angle with him trying to attack the Red Rooster on Bobby's behalf, and he accidentally knocks out Gorilla, and then the next week Gorilla doesn't show up, and Bobby's so scared of whatever's going. He spends the entire episode in between matches going, "I'm sorry, it was not intended for you, Gorilla. It was not intended for you. It was for that. It was for that lousy Red Rooster." And then he'll be like, "What?
Have you? I know you know the Instagram thing or whatever where they did like monsoon cursing or whatever.
Oh yeah, the AI thing, yeah."
Yeah, have you watched the guy that put together the thing of that segment where they cussed at each other?
I don't think so.
Oh, I'll have to send it to you.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you guys after the show, but it's fucking great.
Yeah, that guy actually, that guy's one of the few people I actually follow on Twitter, because he posts his stuff, and he posts he has like a Gorilla Monsoon podcast where Gorilla
funny
Monsoon,
shit.
yeah, it is funny. It's very funny.
But somebody took that segment where they're arguing between each other and just did that, but just added a curse word, and it's great. Anyway, we're getting to Steve Lambardi. I just think that guy. It's kind of like what I said. Like I said about Barry Horowitz. There's a lot of guys that owe not their success as a star, but their success as learning how to work to him. You know, even Kurt learned a lot from Steve Lambardi.
Well, I'll just say this: the Brooklyn Brawler was one of my favorite Archie Mitchell gimmicks.
Number 316 is Frankie Rose, 5'9", 245, 8 years pro, respected Florida independent competitor in the IPWA and elsewhere. Very knowledgeable, knows all the holds. Had an outstanding feud with and great matches with Lord of Discipline during 1993. Lord of Discipline.
I mean, I'm not trying to kink shame nobody, but that's how
you know what? That's exactly where I went. I was like, "Welcome to the BDSM brawl."
What was Linda Miles here?
I don't know any of them.
315 is Tony Falk, 6'1", 240, 11 years pro, on the lower reaches of the USWA cards. Used to referee as well as wrestle, but has more or less given that up. Former rule breaker turned fan favorite, somewhat talented.
Somewhat.
He did like a gay dude gimmick, if I remember right.
Oh, is he the boy Tony or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I know who we're talking about. Yes, you're right.
Wasn't good.
No, in no way, shape, or form was it good. But when you say he did the gay thing, I was like, yeah, boy Tony, in like the dying days of World Class. Yes, I remember that.
It was bad.
314 is Tony Roy, 6'2", 235, 5 years pro, Montreal native, is current IWF champion in New England, famed for his tremendous drop kicks, big fan of NHL's Montreal Canadiens. I remember seeing this guy's name, but I don't think I've ever seen a Tony Roy match. But I do remember seeing his name in results for whatever that's worth.
I think if I remember him, he had like a ramen noodle mullet.
Yeah, the picture of him here. He's got a ramen noodle mullet.
Yeah, I remember that guy. He jobbed on WWF.
So essentially, he looked like
sucked.
T.O. Hopper.
No, the mullet. Well, in this picture, the mullet. Same hairstyle, yes.
And he had like a curly Q on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sucked.
313, man, a wrestler that, and it is what it is. He had success in Texas. He did. I can't deny it. But this was a wrestler I could never, ever see it or get into. It's Killer Tim Brooks. 6 foot, 254, 27 years pro. Another one of those Texas brawlers who simply doesn't mellow with age. Cigar Chomper regularly appears on Lone Star State Independence. Loves to cause mayhem. Never a big fan of Killer Brooks.
Cigar Chomper just sounds so dirty.
Back to the
Yeah.
Lord of Discipline again.
Fucking Watts. That's the Watts guy, isn't it?
No, he was more world class. Well, he might have wrestled in Mid South, but he was in a lot of world class stuff.
I know, but wasn't he like the guy that Watts was like? He had like his little. He had like a tool or whatever that he took out with him.
Maybe he might be right. Yeah, he's a big, little plump, hairy motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't like him.
But yeah, I was just never a big fan.
I might be thinking of the wrong guy.
But number 312, somebody I've never heard of, Deke Rivers. D-E-K-E, Deke Rivers, 6'2", 240, 10 years pro, U.S. champ in all states wrestling promotion, won't back down from any challengers, been known to show a violent temper, strong reputation throughout the Southern Independence. So being from Georgia, does Mark recognize the name Deke Rivers?
I thought you said Deep Rivers.
And that's why I spelled it. That's why I spelled it, because I was like, nope, it's not D-E-E-P. It's D-E-K-E. Deke. What's up, Deke?
Or Derp.
Freaking Deke. Oh yeah.
Freaking Deke Rivers. He might have made it bigger if he would have done that one.
It would have been catchy.
Like freaking Deke. I don't know.
Would have been over. No, I don't recognize the name, but I mean,
nor do I. I'm gonna see what this guy looks like, though. I'm gonna look him up real quick.
I looks like a pedophile.
Google's gonna be like, "Did you mean Deep?" Google's gonna be like, "Did you mean Deep Rivers?"
make sure that safe search is turned on.
Yeah.
Did you mean Chris Hansen?
Fucking Aaron immediately jumped to the button zoom off.
Oh, Deke Rivers is a pedophile.
Is he?
I'm assuming.
Oh shit! No.
Wait for it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this.
He's probably one of those ones that you can't find a fucking picture for. Like, that's what I don't get on some of these dudes on this list. They're like,
Nate's about to stumble into the dark web.
It's just to hit up the guys with all the old flash drives and shit. What episode's he on? Send me a screenshot now.
No, he's just a plump hillbilly looking guy.
Oh.
A pedophile.
Hey! I'm a plump hillbilly, and I'm not one.
Well, I'm plump. I'm just saying, like, Deke Rivers is a pedophile. Does he have
That's
a
a strong. That's a
does
strong fucking accusation.
does he have a whispery mustache?
There you can see him right there in the. It won't let me bring the actual. Like when I try to click the picture, it goes to a Facebook page for a card that he was on. Apparently,
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely plump. He's roly poly looking.
He diddles kids.
Well, we spent enough time. We've spent enough time wading in them deep rivers. So 311 is Jimmy Dio, 6'1", 327, 7 years pro, periodically competes in Pennsylvania Independence. Maniac is a big burly brawler and a smarter wrestler than he appears to be. Has feuded with Neil Superior over the years. Jimmy Dio.
Say that shit.
Is that Roddy's brother?
I was just going to say, Jimmy needs some Dio for his BO.
He said big burly brother. Or
He's Ronnie James
triple-
Dio's brother.
them triple B's turned that shit into a tongue twister.
Okay. Oh boy. Number 310 is Thunder. 6'3", 280. 3 years pro. Former Mr. Orlando teamed with Lightning to win the IWF tag title. Both are now in Florida Independence after a WCW stint. Favorite holds are Thunderbolt and Power Slam. Atlanta native enjoys fishing. Well, good for him because he sucked. Thunder and Lightning. They were briefly in WCW.
One of them went longer because one of them is fake Sting.
Oh, Jeff Farmer.
Yeah. Because Thunder and Lightning, the brunette one. I don't know if this is the one they're talking about.
Yeah, I don't.
one of
I
them
have
is
no
fake
idea.
Sting.
I have no idea which one was Thunder and which one was Lightning. I just know they were not very good.
They weren't, and neither was fake Sting. But that's the only thing I'm saying is one of them was fake Sting.
Number 309 is Mark Ash. 6'1", 205, 5 years pro. Mean Mark is part of the MAW Tag Team Champions, the Pretty Young Things. Two-time former ICW champ. Feuded violently with Ivan Koloff and the Iranian Butcher.
Let me find out. That's where
I was going to ask.
That's where Foley started out. Now have mercy, and then it just evolved over time.
That's the only thing I was going to say was I remember that fucking Butcher guy beat Mark Ash for his belt. Heard that a while ago.
308 Freight Train Freddy. 6'4", 305, 1 year pro. Easily the most popular wrestler in the Tampa-based IPWA. Just recently lost the Federation's Southeastern title to Billy Mack. Keeps on chugging along. Freight Train Freddy.
If he did not come out to come on around that train, they missed an opportunity.
Whoop, whoop. 94. Was that song out yet in 94? Quad City DJs.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was.
They coming out chugga chugga choo choo. I bet the crowd would be behind it.
If the Quad City DJs song wasn't out yet, you know he came out to Crazy Train by Ozzy at least.
Yeah, well, so did half of the 90s independent wrestlers.
There's at least 4 train songs that he could have came out to.
Midnight Train to Georgia.
A Vicki Lawrence song?
Yeah.
No, that was the night. That was the night that lights went out in Georgia. Sorry.
Yeah. 307 is El Mascarado, 5'10", 230, 7 years pro, CWA light heavyweight champion, a native of Puerto Rico, disciple of Mil Mascaras, down to the multiple masks he wears, smart and quick, favorite of Massachusetts fans. That's funny.
What was his name?
El Mascarado.
Is that
Okay,
the
so he-
mosquito?
Is that what?
Is that the mosquito?
No.
Okay.
I think it might be, and this is me not looking it up, might be loosely to be the mask wearer, possibly.
So he
No,
robs banks.
Mascarado, you said?
Yeah, Mascarado. Actually, it sounds like a salad dressing.
I don't have my
I'd
I
like
don't
a
have my
salad
phone,
with.
so I can't.
I'd
I
like
don't
a
have my
salad.
phone, so I can't. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just say I'd like a salad with a side of Mascarado, please. And I'll have the porterhouse. Thank
You know what's crazy?
Hmm.
So they use that same name as a low budget horror movie named WrestleManiac.
That's wild.
Well, what's the English translation of it?
That's what I'm looking for. Do-do-do-do-do-do. The Masquerader.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I wasn't too far off. I
No.
wasn't too far off.
But I'm gonna ask Nate to repeat my favorite thing ever.
Oh,
What is
my Spanish translations
for IRS? What's his name? It's my favorite one.
for IRS.
Yeah, IRS's son.
El hijo de Shyster. And Randy Orton is El hijo de Orton.
And Shyster's my favorite one.
I know, because it's the gimmick and not his real name. It's not Rotunda. It's
Yeah. El D.O.L. Shyster.
El hijo de Shyster. It is funny. Number 306 is Bobby Fulton. 5'10", 220, 15 years pro. Still regularly competes in Japan and U.S. independents. Wrestled with Tommy Fulton as the Fantastics. Intelligent competitor, has earned respect of rivals. Hell of a talent, Bobby Fulton.
Oh yeah, nothing wrong with Bobby Fulton. Him and Tommy were a great fucking tag team, and a lot of people talk about, obviously because it's great, and I'm not going to discount it. A lot of people talk about the Midnights and the Rock and Roll Express, but the Midnights and the Fantastics are fucking great, man.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking great fucking matches, and it got overshadowed by it, but some of those matches were better than the
Well,
the
just to put
ladder.
it just
You
to
know what I
put
mean?
it in just to put it in perspective, how good the Midnights versus the Fantastics were. If you watch, that's probably during the time that they were having their rivalry, that's probably the only time something in world class was more over than the Von Erichs, was the feud between the Fantastics and the Midnights.
And it's like, to me, the reason it seemed somewhat better is because the Fantastics were like equal in size, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like they look like they could beat the fucking Midnight, or they look like they could beat the Midnight Express's asses.
Right.
Like it was more of a, their feud was more of a like two-sided deal than a one-sided deal, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Oh, I agree. Mark, any thoughts on Bobby Fulton?
That's Jackie Fulton's brother.
Well, Jackie Fulton's Bobby's brother. That's the better way to say it.
I mean, same concept, but yeah, that's the other Fulton brother. Yeah, that they weren't terrible. Like I'm not. gonna say I sat there and watched, a whole shit ton of their matches, but I mean, from
Yeah.
what I saw, he was a solid ass worker, and
Yeah, and the best of him is not when he's teaming with his brother anyway. It's when he's teaming with Tommy Rogers. That's the
right.
best stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be like somebody mentioning my name and be like, "Oh, Nate's Aaron's brother." It's like, nah, he's more talented than me.
Number 305.
Hey,
You
I've
just
shit on a
popped
lot of people. I got to shit on myself.
Number 305, another one that sounds like he'd be like a name they'd use for a wrestler in a movie or a TV show. It's Tony the Annihilator. 6 foot, 305, 4 years pro, current new age heavyweight champ in Wisconsin and the upper Midwest. Great power, but also has surprising agility, excels at handicap matches and car lifting contests.
He sounds like
He also enjoys walks on the beach and Mai Tais.
So he can park
sounds.
wherever the fuck he wants.
You remember when they had like the Dollar General versions of the wrestling figures? He sounds like one of the names that they would have put on one of those.
Oh, I have some of those back here on my shelf, and I call the Undertaker one the Underfaker. That's my Underfaker figure, and I have the Brock Lesnar I call Bork Laser, and then I have the Roman Reigns, which my wife obviously named Ramen Reigns. But yeah, I definitely have some of those fucking knockoff things.
Yeah,
you know what? You see something like that for like $1, and you're like, it's worthless, but I have to own it because it's fucking ridiculous.
Right.
I have in my house a collection of just chintzy plastic figures that I bought off eBay. And that they look like it's like a chintzy Rey Mysterio and a chintzy Triple H and a chintzy Kane. It's like, and it's like if I slam them on the ground, they just shatter. I love stupid knockoff fucking wrestling figures.
What's funny is in the independents now there is a Jincy Kane. He's Blue Kane.
Blue Kane.
What?
Blue Kane.
I don't like that.
Yeah, me neither.
Next year he's gonna change his gimmick. He's gonna have like stripes on his mask, and he's gonna be Candy Cane. Actually, that's better.
Did you see the video of Donald Trump putting over Kane?
Yes. All right, number 304 is Ryuma Go.
What in the Street Fighter is that?
6 foot, 255, 23 years pro. Atsugi, Japan native, has done well in the Pacific Northwest Independence. Physical competitor whose favorite hold is Japanese face lock. Likes participating in six-man tag team matches.
I was going to say, bless you, because I thought you said, excuse me.
Well, you brought up the fighting game thing. I was reading the other day just because I was watching the tournament that WCW did where they had like the international tag tournament where it wound up being the Steiners versus Muta and Saito in the finals.
Right.
And what's the fucking Russian character's name from Street Fighter? Why am I blanking?
Guile?
Yeah, the guy with the beard, the guy with the big beard, and fuck, I can't remember his name. Yes. I didn't know this until because you're watching something and you're like, I want to look up this guy because I don't know who the fuck he is. But the Russian team that was in that tournament WCW did, apparently, first of all, those guys were actually like legit successful wrestlers in Russia. And one of them, that Zangief character, was actually based on him. And I did not know that until the other night. But anyway, that's beside the point.
What's that have to do with Ronnie Go?
Well, because when we said go, then Marks was like went into the Street Fighter kind of thing.
Yeah, I said, what in the Street Fighter name is that?
Number 303, guy who's in the news now because he's bringing up stuff from the past because of Vince McMahon, is Jim Powers. 5'11", 235, 8 years pro, continues persevering in WWF, but hasn't ascended past mid-card status. One-time tag teammate of Paul Roma, hardworking technical wrestler, wide array of moves. Jim Powers.
He was definitely a body guy.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely a body guy. He had the fucking look. And he wasn't shitty in the ring, to be honest with you. In my opinion, anyways. Everybody likes different stuff.
I didn't notice it until I started watching some Paul Roma and Jim Powers shoot interviews where they were kind of shitting on each other. They didn't like teaming together.
Right.
But they also
who did Paul Roma really like teaming with?
We brought it up last week, SD Jones.
Yeah. Because he's just a nice guy. But Jim Powers, he's what I say a lot, where tell me to draw a wrestler. If you tell somebody that doesn't know a lot about wrestling, tell me what a professional wrestler looks like. It's going to look like Jim Powers.
Yeah.
But he didn't have I shouldn't even say he didn't have anything in the ring. He was just he was a marginal talent. He looked good, and he was a guy that you could put in the mid to low cards, and there he is,
Yeah. Number 302 is The Cobra. 5'9", 228, 8 years pro, two-time New Age light heavyweight champion, discovered by the legendary Native American Wahoo McDaniel. Favorite move is the Cobra Clutch. Also brings a 15-foot python into the ring, as you'd expect.
Why would he bring a python if he's a cobra?
Right?
That's gimmick infringement.
You're not the python, you're the cobra, you fucking idiot.
Right? Fucking, what's next? He's gonna have a snake pit?
I was just gonna say he's facing the dog who brings a cat to the ring. 301, big fat fuck Ian Rotten. 6 foot 294, 4 years pro, even less of a scientific wrestler than Bad Breed brother Axel, formerly Zach Blades, wearing a hockey mask, never known to wrestle cleanly, briefly in USWA, now back in ECW. I am not a fan of Ian Rotten.
Nope. He's a big, fat, lumpy beanbag that just needs to go away.
I mean, just by the name, it sounds like he fucking smells like McDonald's cheeseburgers and ash cheese.
He tries to
Bobby Heenan.
He tries to cover it up. He tries to cover it up with Brute.
Yeah.
It's like Bobby Heenan said about fucking Jameson. It's like you smell like old socks and a Buick.
A Buick.
Ian Rotten sucked. Let's just say it. And he's trash. And he still is.
Number 300 is Russian Assassin 2. 6'2", 243, 7 years pro, PWF heavyweight champ, still carries the old Soviet flag with him to ringside. No one is safe from his brutal and relentless competitor. Remains in contact with former manager Paul Jones. Was Jack Victory one of the Russian assassins? Who were the Russian assassins? It was Victory and who?
I'll give that. You're gonna put me on point on that. Was it Rip Oliver?
Maybe. And Paul Jones, man, he just hung around forever, didn't he? like of all the people that fell off in Crockett as time winded on into the late '80s to almost where they got purchased by Turner.
Paul Jones was a booker though.
It was David Sheldon and Jack Victory.
Who was it, Mark?
David Angel of Death Sheldon.
Oh, okay.
Paul Jones gets a lot of shit, but I enjoyed him. Like, I liked when he was with Manny Fernandez and Rick Rude. And they were like the Mustache World Order. I liked that.
Number 299, PJ Walker. 6'2", 225, 2 years pro, WWF preliminary wrestler known for upset of Irwin R. Shyster on Monday Night Raw. Trained by the Hart family, also competes in New England and Independence and occasionally in WCW. Very enthusiastic. And of course, he wound up becoming Aldo Montoya and Justin Credible, PJ Walker.
Now he's just inflatable. But I don't want to say it. I have no problem with the guy as a worker and as a talent.
No, and at this time he was a kind of a job guy, and they tried to give him the 1-2-3 Kid rub. You know, like they just mentioned here in the bio, 1-2-3 Kid got the upset over Razor Ramon, and then they gave him the upset over IRS, and it didn't pan out in that respect. But it got Vince to notice him, and that's where he became Aldo.
As a talent, he wasn't bad.
Mm-mm.
He was a solid fucking worker.
And him and Lance Storm were a really good tag team.
Oh, they were fantastic. Him and Lance and Dawn together were fucking entertaining as fuck. Like I know that's like later on in his career, but I got no problem with him.
And Kevin Dunn liked him because he had big buck teeth like Kevin Dunn did.
That might be my long lost son.
PJ Dunn.
PJ Dunn. That would have been a better fucking gimmick. Why is this guy getting so much TV time?
Oh man, I don't know. There's almost nothing like as far as somebody shitting on it, and I don't. I understand. Like Kevin Dunn, I can't argue with his success. He worked for that company for 40 years, produced a bunch of their fucking TV. He was successful. You can't take that from him. And he left. He walked out with fucking millions of dollars. God bless him. But there is actually shoot interview wise, other than Cornette shitting on Russo. I love Cornette shitting on Kevin Dunn, just making the teeth sounds and shit. Oh, it's so funny.
Being like, I've been upset about my teeth for 32 years. It's like, why don't you fix them?
You're a fucking millionaire. Yeah. All right.
PJ Dunn is a great fucking gimmick.
Bucky Beaver looking motherfucker. All right. The Good Rotten is next. 298 Axel Rotten, 6'2", 302, 6 years pro. He and brother Ian are back in ECW after a USWA stint. Nasty rule breaker with unusual speed for someone his size. Formerly feuded with Nikolai Volkov. I like Axel Rotten.
Oh, nothing wrong with Axel Rotten. Fucking great talent.
The best thing he ever did, the best thing Axel Rotten ever did was dumping the British thing.
Yeah.
If you watch him in Global, you know, he's really round in Global, and he's got the poodle hair, and they're fucking They're and I know it. He's leaning into like the British punk rocker thing or whatever, but best thing he ever did was dumping that and just being himself.
Yeah, and I don't know, we're not talking about it right now because we're going over the PWI 500, but him and Balls together were a great team.
Mm-hmm.
I like Axel. Nothing wrong with him.
Mark?
To be honest with you, not familiar with a whole lot of his work. From what I've seen of him, I mean, he looks like he would be over with the punk scene / the ECW crowd.
Oh
The
yeah,
ruffians.
he definitely fit the ECW
Oh, they loved
vibe.
him.
But yeah, I'll be honest, like a whole lot of the ECW stuff I haven't watched.
The next guy, and I don't generally, I try really hard, unless they're really bad, not to shit on pro wrestlers' work because I've never been a worker. I'm not a worker. And I always say that's why we call it the We Can't Wrestle podcast. They do something I can't do. However, I will take a liberty because this guy is one of the worst pro wrestlers I've ever witnessed in my life. Jungle Jim Steele. 6'2", 243, 1-year pro, exciting young WCW grappler, resembles the Ultimate Warrior in appearance, though not in style. Very quick, favorite maneuver is the Fez press. Not a serious title contender yet. Jungle Jim Steele fucking stunk.
Oh, he did.
It was awful. If you like bad wrestling, do yourself a favor and watch a Jungle Jim Steele match.
Oh, Aaron,
He
will be
was
looking him
junk.
up.
Keep looking him up, but he was junk, and didn't he? Like, I remember him, but I also remember that didn't he try to do like a senton off like the middle rope?
Yes. Yes. And it's
Yeah.
fucking
And it
terrible.
looked fucking terrible. He fucking sucked. He was like a bad Von Erich.
You know who was a worker actually in the vein of Jungle Jim Steele? On the flip side,
For Sampson?
Chris Walker.
Walker, yeah.
Conan Chris Walker, who wrestled some in the WWF like in 91, 92. That guy, for a guy with that build and stuff, was actually pretty good. I don't know, he fell off. I don't know whatever happened to him, but he was actually pretty decent. But this Jungle Jim Steele clown was awful.
Bang. He sucked a dick.
Number 296 is Bart Sawyer, 6'2", 222, 4 years pro. The speedy Pacific Northwest star is really named Steve, but got the nickname because he resembles animation's Bart Simpson. Also has USWA experience.
Because everybody named Steve goes by Bart,
Right. Yeah. It's a logical conclusion.
Lord have mercy.
I got nothing on Bart Sawyer. $295 is Bryant Anderson, 6 foot, 240, 1-year pro, son of Ole, nephew of Gene and Lars. Considers himself a scientific wrestler, but not necessarily a fan favorite. Wrestled Rick Steamboat, Terry Taylor, and others in WCW. Good shoulder breaker. Never made it, man. Never made it.
Good
He wasn't
shoulder
that
breaker.
great. He wasn't that great. I remember him, but he just wasn't great. He was the guy that they tried to get over, and it just didn't work. He had a good look, but just work-wise, it wasn't ever gonna happen. I'd put him in like a.
And he is legit Ole's son, right?
Yeah. look wise, I'd put him in the same like build and look and as like an Eric Watts.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wasn't bad in the ring. It's just like it's not gonna work.
$294. There's a lot going on with this name. Diamond Timothy Flowers. 6 foot 243, former West Coast Championship Wrestling kingpin, but handed the title to Rocky De La Sera after his victory. Sports many scars and wounds from his many cage matches. Also competes in in the UWA. I don't know who Diamond Timothy Flowers is, but does or does not the name Rocky De La Sera sound like somebody they'd bring up in The Sopranos?
Like you want to lose your feet? It's a good-looking family you got. I'd hate you to lose them.
Like, hey Tony, what happened over there? Hey, Rocky De La Sera threw him off a bridge.
Hey, Uncle Paulie, call Rocky De La Sera.
Yeah.
Tell him we got a matter that he needs to address.
He seems like a guy that's like giving you what you feel is encouragement, but you don't understand. He's telling you that he's going to kill everybody that's involved with you. Like, you got a good look. You got a good-looking family over there. It'd be terrible if you lost him, right? She's like, yeah, man. They're great.
Eat your gabagool.
Oh.
Eat your gabagool. Pay your bill.
Oh, that's a great-looking pair of shoes you got. You got some decent feet. It'd be terrible if you lost them. Like, I know, man. Would it be terrible if you lost those feet? Like, yeah, man. It'd be terrible.
But don't cross Rocky De La Sera. Number 293 is Jim Pope. 6 foot 225, 3 years pro, up and coming star in the Pacific Northwest. Gresham, Oregon native, whose favorite move is suplex off the top rope. Strong competitor despite his small size. I don't know you, Jim Pope.
I think a couple of weeks ago we got Greg Pope, I think.
Some kind of Pope. Some kind
Yeah,
of Pope.
because I made the joke about that's not the guy that rides around in the car with the glass.
It's a freaking Pope.
I got on my partners. The John Paul and Francis. All right, 292. Tony Stetson. 5'10", 238, 9 years pro, recently of ECW, now in other independent federations, has defeated former WWF World Champion Ivan Koloff, feuded with former champion tag team partner Larry Winters, among others. Of those like early ECW guys,
oh yeah,
Hitman Tony Stetson's probably my favorite.
Yeah, and he's now going into it, he's the hockey guy.
Oh yeah,
right?
Fuck. Yes. Shit. I can't remember the gimmick name. Like I'm blanking on it. But yes, you're right. But yeah, Tony Stetson was decent. He was good.
Yeah.
291, Raymond Rougeau. 6 foot 233, 22 years pro, WWF broadcaster, returned to the mat sport on a part-time basis, rescued brother Jacques from attack by former partner Pierre and former manager Johnny Polo, still extremely popular in Japan. That was, excuse me, that was one of the cool things. I mean, they didn't televise it, but that was one of the cool things that Vince did back then for the Rougeaus, for their family, was up in Montreal because he had that, he had the rights and everything up there at this point. He let Jacques do his retirement thing up there. I mean, it wasn't on TV, but they booked it, they advertised it, WWF, it was on a WWF card, essentially Pierre turns on Jacques of the Quebecers, and Jacques gets to be Jacques Rougeau again. And then Raymond, did the save against Johnny Polo and Pierre. It was fun. It was cool for Vince to do, because he didn't do shit like that a lot, Like a lot of times with Vince back then, when you were done, you were fucking done.
So get the fuck out of here, pal.
When we're talking about Raymond, but they did the same thing for Jacques in WCW, because Hogan put Jacques over in Montreal when they did that shit.
Yeah.
But to me, the funny thing is, like, if you look at, like, the Rougeau brothers, you'd think, like, Jacques was, like, the badass guy of it, because he was, like, boisterous and loud and whatever. But here's Raymond, just this guy's like, oh, hey, Brett, tell us about your match with Yokozuna. And he's like super, like, quiet. It's like, oh, how you doing? And it's like, this guy's the mate. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, he'll fuck you up.
Like when they talk about, like, the '80s roster, like, everybody talks about Haku, and obviously he was like the badass dude or whatever. But I've also heard a lot of guys in shoot interviews or whatever that would talk about, like, don't fuck with Raymond, because he will fuck you up. And he looks like the nicest dude in the world.
Mm-hmm. And a fantastic fucking wrestler.
Oh yeah.
Don't mess with Ray Ray. He don't play.
Number 290 is Pez Whatley, 5'10", 245, 19 years pro. Frequently competes on Southern Independent cards, has WWF experience, was known as Pistol in USWA and rule-breaking Shaska in the South Atlantic. Tough veteran, respected by all. And by this point, by the time Pez wound up in the WWF, we all remember him as kids as just one of the, like Barry Horowitz or Brooklyn Brawler, just one of the enhancement talents. But before the WWF, he had a pretty stellar career.
He was a Paul Jones guy.
Yeah. In the never-ending Paul Jones-Jimmy Valiant feud. He was part of that. And he also did that with the Jive Tones tag team with, what was it, Tiger Conway?
Yeah.
But he was a good promo. He's a hell of a promo.
Oh, yeah, and he was a good little fucking worker. Like, I think he even worked with him as a tag team partner, but he's almost like a Coco Beware.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good fucking talent. Nothing wrong with Pistol Pez.
Mark, anything on Pez Whatley?
That's pretty good candy.
Should come out your neck.
Yeah.
Neck
Collect those dispensers.
Pez, here's our morbid neck candy. That's great. 289 Moondog Spike, 6'2", 344, 5 years pro. Woof. Knows no wrestling holds whatsoever, yet still causes havoc in USWA. Has held the tag belts with fellow Moondog Cujo. Slovenly, vile, violent, repulsive. You choose the adjectives. Moondog Spike.
So did they say wolf in the actual?
Yes, they did. Yes, they
okay,
did.
because I was wondering if that was just your reaction to that he was a shitty talent or something.
The Moondogs was one of those gimmicks that they tried to keep going for far too long. Like after the original guys were kind of done, it was time to end it. And God bless Jerry Lawler. I love Jerry Lawler, but man, did he try to milk that fucking tit as long as he could.
Well,
I don't even know what a moondog. I don't even know what a moondog is.
Moondog 2020.
Seriously.
Oh wait, that was Mad Dog.
Like
Seriously, what is a moondog? What is it?
We got Moondog Spike, we got Moondog Cujo, we got Moondog Fifi, we got
Rex.
Moondog Rex, we got Moondog Bubba, we got Moondog Billy.
What the fuck is it?
No idea.
Let's look it up.
What is a moondog?
According to folklore,
you have her lay on her back.
according to folklore, moondogs are signs of approaching storms or bad weather.
That's actually kind of cool. Number 288.
I hear a horn. Is that a moondog?
Number 288, Bubba, is the Iron Sheik. 6 foot 262, 21 years pro. Rule breaker, competes in independence and Japan. Famed as WWF World Champion between Bob Backlund and Hulk Hogan, although his reign was all of 28 days. Former Iranian Olympian. And Iron Sheik is one of those guys that is in the vein of what we talked about last week with the Honky Tonk Man. Like he knew after the big leagues, this is what I need to do. I need to work, or whoever was his promoter at the time. I need to work these autograph shows. I need to fucking, in the early days of YouTube and shoot interviews, he grabbed a hold of that fucking shit.
Yeah. Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Fuck that macho man, Randy Savage.
Yes. Iron Sheik, you know, say what you want about him, but after his glory days in wrestling, he still kept building that brand, man. Fuck it. Good. God bless him.
And he's also like, I don't know, he said like the Honky Tonk Man thing or whatever, but Honky Tonk Man like kind of projected the gimmick, but I think Iron Sheik was the gimmick.
Well, oh, absolutely, yes.
You know what I
mean?
Like, I don't think Iron Sheik. Like
nothing Sheik ever did or ever said was a fucking embellishment or a gimmick. He was just him being him.
Yeah, Honky was living the gimmick, whereas Iron Sheik was just being Khosrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was just the gimmick. Being him. Yeah.
Yeah. Like his Hall of Fame speech is one of my favorite things to just fucking watch, because it's just that dude being himself.
Mm-hmm.
His Howard Stern interview is my favorite.
Ask Dan Gable.
Ask Dan Gable.
Ask Kurt Angle about Dan Gable.
Have a good night. Peace.
Peace.
Great shit.
Got his fucking hat on.
Yeah. He's a fucking original, man, and there's nobody else that's ever been like him.
Not him.
Yes.
On the fucking planet. God bless him.
Number 287, The Intruder, 6'4", 220. Current Southern Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, formerly in Carolina Championship Wrestling Alliance, where he was the U.S. Champion, and Georgia All-Star Wrestling. Tough competitor, hails from parts unknown, and I don't know who he is, so we can move on.
It's funny, they said Georgia All-Star Wrestling, so that was Gas W.
Oh, yeah. 286. My man. My favorite name of the week. Rocky De La Sera. 5'11", 240.
Oh, he's a Goomba.
The current West Coast champ, thanks to Timothy Flowers. Hated rule breaker in British Columbia. Enters the ring to the tune of the French national anthem. What? Brutal. That totally killed it for me because I was picturing a Goomba and this guy's French.
Yeah, I figured he'd come out to like fly me to the moon or fucking Wonton Tomato or what else would he come out to?
Under the Sea. Number 385 is Blake Beverly. 6'4", 252, 6 years pro. Also wrestles as Mike Enos. More of a rule breaker than Brother Bo. Was somewhat of a disappointment in the WWF. Regularly competes on Japanese cards.
Well, I had a whole category about this guy. He's fantastic.
Yeah, and they say here the Beverly Brothers, and I know the PWI is trying to be kayfabe. So as far as somewhat of a disappointment in WWF, I see what they're saying from a kayfabe perspective because they were never the champs or anything. But everything that the Beverlys ever did, whether it was not as the Beverlys in the AWA or whatever, and then in the WWF, they tore that shit down, man. They were a fantastic tag team.
And the other
they're one of those teams that I say is an underrated tag team because they don't get talked about nowadays.
Right.
I think I think Mike Enos. I know I picked him as a category because it was funny, haha, or whatever. But I think Mike Enos is an underrated wrestler. I thought that dude was fucking great.
Well, Wayne Bloom's son is Von Wagner, right?
Yes.
So, I mean,
yeah, he looks like a Geico caveman.
I mean, I enjoy like I was saying, with some of the other guys like the Nasties and stuff like that. Watching those 8-man tags and stuff as a kid, I really enjoyed it. They were in a lot of
right, yeah,
with the Genius and stuff like that. I mean, I enjoyed them.
And one of the underrated tag team matches of all time is the Beverlys versus the Steiners at Royal Rumble 93.
It's a great fucking match.
It's a fantastic match.
They were a great fucking team, man. And I understand why they didn't get over in the WWF because they weren't promo driven or whatever, but I think they were a good team, and I think Mike Enos is super underrated.
And like I mentioned last week, that was my favorite. And again, like I said last week, I enjoyed Lanny Poffo as the Genius with Perfect, but actually him with the Beverlys is my favorite Genius.
Oh yeah,
it was a good act. All right, number 284 is El Bronco, 5'11", 235, 8 years pro, has teamed with Invader 1 for 2 WWC tag titles. More recently, his partner has been, Pulgarcito. Masked Dominican from Santo Domingo, El Bronco 2 disappeared. Probably fucking Carlos had something to do with that, just like he did with fucking Brody. Anyway.
Sold. What was his name?
El Bronco.
Pulled pork.
Oh, I was gonna say El Camaro.
El Camino, yeah. 283 is, at least this guy doesn't keep the 2 or the 1 on his name. I got to give him credit for that. Even though his name is silly because it's not a connection, it's Cruel Connection. 6 foot, 255, 7 years pro, current PWF Intercontinental Champion, among the Federation's most popular wrestlers, famed for green tights, had outstanding NWA feud with Lasertron, former PWF Tag Team Champion with Flaming Youth. Even though his name is Cruel Connection, he's only one guy, At least he's not still out there wrestling with the 1 or the 2 attached to his name.
It's still a double. Any team with Hector? You think Hector would still be Lasertron?
He didn't team with Hector. He feuded with Hector. But they're talking about how he had a feud with Hector back in the day. So it's not currently.
Okay. We're still
Number
stinking.
number 282 is Jeff Gaylord. 6'3", 280, 9 years pro. Former Southern champion back in the USWA, although only on a periphery of the title contention. Missouri Tiger once played for the NFL's Los Angeles Rams. Superb backbreaker. Won the USWA title with Jeff Jarrett.
With his build and what he looked like, honestly, I don't understand why that guy never wound up with wins.
Because he was he got into a lot of legal trouble.
Yeah, I know he was a criminal, but I mean, Zumoff made it there.
I'm wondering who the fuck this manager guy of his is that fucking is standing next to him, because this motherfucker looks like Harvey Winkleman mixed with Do-Rag Vince gimmick.
I don't know who that would have been.
Like if you type him in, it's like the third picture when you scroll over it. Dude really looks like Harvey Winkleman in a do-rag.
I don't know, man. I'd have to see the picture.
Let me look. It might actually be Harvey Winkleman in a do-rag. Because Harvey might have been downtown Bruno with Jeff Gaylord at some point.
But you know what I'm saying, Nate? Like,
Mark, that is Harvey Winkleman. That is Harvey Winkleman in a do-rag.
Well, my bad. It's fucking hilarious, though, isn't it?
Do-rag Winkleman.
Do-rag Bruno is better.
But yes, Aaron, I knew what you're saying. He definitely had the WWF look. He only competed in one WWF match that I know of, which he was one of the knights at the Survivor Series.
You know who he reminds me of? Like look wise? Fucking Mike Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, Mike was a little stockier, but yeah, I can see what you're saying.
That's like from first glance looking at him, I was like, damn, he looks like Mike Awesome.
Yeah, the Knights were it was supposed to be Terry Funk.
Yeah, but
and Terry Funk said no, my horse died. I go ahead and take care of my horse. The Knights were it was Barry Horowitz, Greg Valentine, and Jeff Gaylord.
Yep. And that's because Jerry Lawler's a pedophile. So
whoa.
You'll have to listen to the next episode of Reliving the Extreme to get my stance on that, Mark. I kind of went off at the end of the episode about this whole Vince McMahon thing and how as wrestling fans we kind of like ignore the fact that most of our heroes are actually kind of dirtbags. Right. Like Jerry Lawler's kind of a known pedophile, fucking half of them are drug addicts and pillheads and anyway. All right.
This is our last guy.
This is the last one. 281. We're ending with Terry Austin. 6 foot, 240, 3 years pro. PWF rule breaker is still feuding with the Italian Stallion. He and Austin Steele are former PWF tag champs. Up and comer with the best slingshot suplex since Tully Blanchard's heyday. I doubt it.
Absolutely not.
And actually, we'll just wrap it up here. I know I said one more, but this is the end of the page. And we won't have to elaborate on him a lot because we already talked about Blake. 280 is Bo Beverly, who is Wayne Bloom. And we've already talked about how great the Beverleys were. So,
touche.
we'll pick up next week with number 279 as we roll through the PWI 500 from 1994. Mark Brew, any parting words for our listeners this week?
So I just want to say thank you guys for listening. If you're down to get into any wrestling breaks, you can catch me on all sports breaks on whatnot. Pulled the 101 Trick Williams auto that you can only get out of blasters. I did 5 case blaster break and pulled the 101 Trick Williams. Spot sold for like $35. Dude's got like a $1,400 to $1,500 card easy. So we're doing pretty good things over there.
Awesome. Go check Mark out. Aaron?
Yeah. I don't know what whatnot is, but thank you guys for listening and just keep on listening. And that's that. Just I shouldn't say that's that. If you guys enjoy this show and all the shows that we do, just rate and review, because that's the best way to get it up the charts.
Absolutely. Anywhere that you can rate or review the show, give it a 5-star rating, give it a positive review. That works us up those algorithms as people search for wrestling podcasts. And much like one of our featured stars on this week's episode, Freight Train Freddy, we are going to keep chugging along here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Aaron. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Come on, ride that train. Ride it.
I literally ended this and we literally ended this episode with all of us going choo choo.